Cheevo, guys!
What up, guys? This is
Cheevo, guys!
back here again with another video. Today we're going to be starting up a new series called the Remaster Request. It's going to be focusing on older games that we think deserve a remaster or remake. So, why not start with my favorite game of all time, Banjo Kazooie. 1998. Man, what it was like to be a kid in 1998. We had the first 3D Zelda game, Ocarina of Time, our first 3D Pokemon battle experience with Pokemon Stadium, and most importantly, we got introduced to a bear named Banjo and his bird buddy Kazooie. This was a legendary time for gaming, specifically platforming. Banjo Kazooie had great reviews, reviewed at 9.6 by IGN. It was the 10th best-selling game on the Nintendo 64 with over 3.6 million copies sold. Developed by Rare, which I'd say is my favorite video game developer ever, they made 4 of the top 10 games for the Nintendo 64, including GoldenEye, Donkey Kong 64, Diddy Kong Racing, and Banjo Kazooie and Banjo Tooie. Banjo Kazooie was followed up with its sequel, Banjo Tooie, in 2000, selling over 1.4 million copies. Yeah, it sold half of the original, but keep in mind, this was at the end of the Nintendo 64. It was being phased out with the Nintendo GameCube launching in early 2001. Banjo Kazooie was followed up with its sequel, Banjo Tooie, in 2000, selling over 1.4 million copies. Yeah, it sold half of the original, but keep in mind, this was the last year of the Nintendo 64. It was being phased out with the Nintendo GameCube launching in 2001. With that being said, Banjo Tooie was a great sequel. It was true to the original, and it also had great reviews. The game was actually reviewed at a 9.4 by IGN. Microsoft ended up purchasing Rare in 2002 and released a few games for the original Xbox, but no signs of Banjo. That is until 2008, where Banjo Nuts and Bolts was released. To hype fans up, Microsoft announced that they were porting both Nintendo 64 games over to the Xbox 360. Now that's what I'm talking about, Microsoft. I remember how excited I was when they announced this. I also remember being hyped for Nuts and Bolts. However, things went south. As a huge Banjo fan and a huge Rare fan, I can confidently tell you, Nuts and Bolts was a bit of a flop. Not just in sales, but the game was pretty bad itself. At least that's my personal opinion. The game does have its fans. IGN actually reviewed this one at an 8.3, which I guess isn't too bad. But I don't know, I didn't think it was true to the original. They mixed it up a bit too much for me by adding all of the building and racing, and it wasn't just the same game as the first two. It has been nearly 11 years since we've seen a Banjo Kazooie game. Fans want one. This is clear. Not just any Banjo game, we want Banjo Threeie and or a remastered collection. You have PlayStation over here reviving their popular platformers like Ratchet and Clank and Medieval. Why? Because they sell. It's clear. Developers are realizing how successful these remasters and remakes are, and they're cashing in. I don't see why Microsoft isn't taking advantage of the Banjo and Conquer licenses. At the end of the day, people want to feel like a kid. It's the best feeling that you can give a person. It would be smart for Microsoft to remaster some of their old platforming IPs like Banjo Kazooie and Conquer. Most recently, we actually got to see a little bit of Banjo Kazooie, as he appeared as a DLC character in Super Smash Bros. On the Nintendo Switch. Could this DLC be aligned with the upcoming Banjo Kazooie game? And is this a hint that it may be available on the Nintendo Switch when it launches? After all, Nintendo and Microsoft are buddies now, so I definitely wouldn't count this out. All I can say, Microsoft, is that if you're watching this, we want a new Banjo Kazooie. I actually had an idea for them to release the Rare Replay collection on the Nintendo Switch and maybe add Donkey Kong 64, GoldenEye 64, and Diddy Kong Racing, as those are the 3 games that we were missing in Rare Replay. But understandably why. I mean, those are Nintendo licenses, and there was no way those were going to be in the Xbox version of Rare Replay. Personally, I wouldn't mind them re-releasing Rare Replay on the Switch with the additional 3 games, but one can only hope. All I can say is that Microsoft, if you are watching this, we want a new Banjo Kazooie. I don't know how many times we have to tell you. I feel like we've been telling you over and over again for about 10 years. We need a new Banjo Kazooie game, or at least remaster or remake the old ones for us. I mean, Crash Bandicoot's gotten the treatment, Spyro's gotten the treatment, PlayStation's given it to Ratchet and Clank and Medieval, yet we do not have a good remake of Banjo Kazooie. I think it's pretty obvious that Microsoft should be working on the next Banjo Kazooie, especially with the Xbox Series X coming out later this year. It would be a perfect platformer to launch with. I mean, if I knew they were going to release a brand new Banjo Kazooie game at launch with the new Xbox, sold. I mean, I'm already gonna buy one, but sold. I mean, Cameo launched with the Xbox 360, and that one was a great game as well. I loved that game from Rare. I wouldn't mind a Cameo 2 as well. Maybe that'll be a future episode of the Remaster request. Maybe Cameo 2. Anyhow, I want to know what you guys think. Would you like to see Banjo Threeie or a remastered collection of the first two? Let me know in the comments. As always, I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment and don't forget to like and subscribe.